How's it going? Today I glued together a bunch of little cut-offs, little thin strips, making another cutting board from the offcuts of my other cutting boards. And I wanted to go over how I plane them down. I just have a little Craftsman 12.5 inch lunchbox planer, and it snipes pretty bad. But I've come up with something that has helped me tremendously. Pretty much, I'm not going to say it eliminates the snipe. In fact, it doesn't eliminate it, it moves it. So it will move it off of the cutting board onto some other sacrificial boards that aren't actually attached to the cutting board. So it's going to be done by making a sled, and on top of that I will be using an extended in-feed and out-feed table, which is just a long piece of melamine board. So let me take this thing out of the clamps, and then we'll start setting things up, and I'll cross-cut off these edges so we can get a nice, at least a relatively square cutting board, so that we can build a sled around it and start the milling process. And you'll see very plainly that instead of the snipe being a problem on the board itself, it actually gets moved. So let's get to it. After squaring it up on the crosscut sled, this is what I'm left with. You can see that it is still very uneven and in desperate need of planing. But we can also see that it has kind of like a twist to it. So it's very uneven. Both sides are exhibiting this problem. So what we're going to do in order to plane this smooth without any snipe is we're going to use a sled. So this is the base of our sled. There is no twist, no cupping, no warping. The first and most important step in making a sled is to make sure that you have something that is perfectly flat to be your reference. So the idea is that we're going to place our project piece on our sled, and we will shim it where it's appropriate. So we're going to shim this corner here. We're going to use sidewalls here that protrude past the length of the project piece so that the snipe is relocated on the ends of the sacrificial boards. So as an example, we'll put these boards here, and now the snipe, instead of it being located here on the project piece, is instead going to be way out here on the tips of these boards. Okay, and likewise on the tail end, instead of it being located here on the project piece, it should be out here, which is past the edge. Now additionally, what we're probably going to have to do is put in another sacrificial board here along the back. That way, as the project piece gets pushed through the planer, there's no risk of ugly tear out on the back of the piece as it exits the cutter head. So once that's in place too, we'll probably put a tiny little clamp here on the fore end so that it holds everything taut, and it'll hold it nice and tight back against this backboard that we're going to put in. So to start things off, why don't I go ahead and I will rip these sacrificial boards down to the appropriate height, and that is going to be just a little bit higher than our project piece, so that the sideboards will take the first cuts from the planer, and then we'll work our way down and work our way flat. So let's go ahead and build out the rest of the sled. So for the most part the sled is done now. I got the sides on there and got the back plate. The project piece fits in there real snug, which is critical. And now for the front, what we'll do is I just have a tiny little piece of hardwood with a couple screws in it that we'll just put up here and button down so the piece is held in there real tight. Just like that. I don't have to screw all the way. We definitely don't want anything to protrude out the back. As you can see, everything on the back has been countersunk so that this is perfectly flat. And that's one thing that you'll want to double check before you send anything through the planer. We don't want any metal exposed, any screw heads exposed. We definitely don't want to fasten down the walls from the top because we don't want the screw heads to hit the blades, etc. So make sure you double check that, but this is the sled. So what we should see when we start sending this through is we should see the snipe out here and here. Now before we can send this through the planer, we're going to have to make sure that it's sitting flat on the sled itself. So push in the back corners and see if they pop up in the front. This one does. So there's a little bit of rock there. And what we can do is just jam a little piece of wood underneath there, like so. And that got rid of it. So just like that, and now we're going to be okay to send that through. Well, here it is, right out of the planer, finished product, and you can see, at least I think you can see, the snipe is right here. Can you see that? How the sideboard has a specific height, and then it just kind of dips down right there. And it, I mean, it's actually pretty bumpy, this whole section right here. And it's the same on, actually even more pronounced over here, at least how I can feel it. But everything else, I mean, plain, super flat. And now I guess the big test is going to be if it has any type of wobble once I put it down on a flat surface. So let's pop it out of here. And put her down. Nope, it is flat. Love it. Okay, so now with a flat surface, I can get rid of the little shim that I had in here, and now I could be able to drop it right back down into the sled with the flat side down. I may have to pop my little clamp out and re-put that in. Nope, I got it in there. Okay, so now with the flat side down, I should be able to plane the rest, and I have completely eliminated all the snipe. Well, not eliminated, I've moved it, right? So at least it's not affecting my project piece, and I'll get this second side nice and flat and true, and then we'll be good. So, hope you liked it, and as always, if you didn't like it, I don't really give a rip. Alright? Consider subbing if you haven't already, and be sure to hit that thumbs up. Alright, take it easy. Later. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. And because of the backboard, no tear out. Love it.